Hey, everyone! Before we get into this insane story, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. Trust me, you're not going to believe what happens next. I never thought my wedding day, the day I had been dreaming about since I was a child, would become the day I discovered who was truly on my side and who had been plotting against me for years. It all started 6 months before the wedding. I had just gotten engaged to Michael, the man I thought was the love of my life. We met in college. We grew up together, and honestly, I trusted him more than anyone. But there was someone else who had always been a part of my life, too. My best friend since we were 12 years old. Harper. Harper was the kind of girl people gravitated toward. Funny, confident, gorgeous, and always the center of attention. And for most of my life, I didn't mind that. I didn't need to be the center. I was the quiet one, the planner, the listener, the one who supported everyone else. But something started shifting the moment I got engaged. First, it was small things, like the day I told her Michael proposed. She smiled, too wide, too forced, and said, "Wow." I honestly didn't think he was the type to settle down so fast. I laughed it off. Harper always made blunt comments. I told myself she didn't mean anything by it, but then other things followed. She started saying things like, "Just remember, marriage exposes everyone's true colors. You sure you're ready for this? You two fight a lot lately, maybe it's stress?" Except we weren't fighting at all. It was like she was trying to plant doubts in my mind. I ignored it. I thought she was stressed. Jealous, maybe. Or just being weird. But then it got worse. During one of our wedding planning meetings, she casually said, "Did Michael ever tell you why his last relationship ended?" I froze, because Michael told me everything except that. Harper watched me carefully, then smiled like she loved how anxious I suddenly looked. "Oh, never mind," she said. "It's not my place to say." She left it hanging like a knife. That night, I confronted Michael, and he got upset, not at me, but at the fact that Harper was bringing up his past like she had the right. He said she was trying to stir the pot. I didn't want to believe that, but something in me began to feel uneasy. Still, we continued planning the wedding, the venue, the food tasting, the decorations, the flowers, all the things I should have been excited about. But somehow, Harper was at the center of every stressful moment. She kept criticizing everything. "Your dress is too plain. These flowers look cheap. This theme looks like a Pinterest board from 2014. Every time I tried to voice my opinion, she'd roll her eyes like I didn't know anything about my own wedding. And the worst part? Everyone else loved her energy. My family adored her. My bridesmaids thought she was hilarious. My mom said, "She's just overwhelmed because she cares about you." But I started noticing things they didn't, like how she always found a way to stand next to Michael whenever we were in a group, or how she laughed too hard at his jokes, or the way she'd touch his arm lightly while talking to, or how she started messaging him wedding questions late at night. I asked Michael about it once, and he said it was harmless and I was overthinking, and I wanted to believe him. Until the bridesmaid dress appointment. This was the day everything started unraveling. We arrived at the boutique, and all the girls were excited, buzzing, giggling that it was supposed to be fun. But Harper walked in like she owned the place, looked at the dress I picked, and said, "Oh, honey, no. You can't put your girls in that. It makes me look like a tired mother of three." She wasn't joking. She said it loud enough that the stylist winced. I tried to stay calm, but I told her, "It's not all about you." And she smirked. "Oh, sweetheart, on your wedding day, everything touches me too." That sentence stuck with me. Why touches me? Why affects me? Why did she keep placing herself at the center of my wedding? At the time, I didn't understand. Later, it made perfect sense. But the first real red flag came a week later. A friend from work sent me a screenshot. A DM she had seen on my fiancé's phone because Michael forgot to close Instagram while she was giving him some files. The message was from Harper, and it said, "I feel like you're marrying her just to avoid admitting the truth." The truth? What truth? I stared at the message for a full minute, Feeling my stomach flip, there were older messages too. You always talk to me differently than you talk to her. You know we've always had chemistry, don't pretend we didn't. She doesn't even see how unhappy you are. I felt the blood drain from my face and I called Michael immediately. He swore he never answered her, swore he never encouraged her, swore he never thought of her that way. He showed me his phone. Every message was either ignored or shut down, but one thing was clear. Harper wanted him, and she was trying to sabotage our relationship from the inside. I confronted her the next day. I told her I saw the messages. She didn't even deny it. She just laughed. "You're so dramatic," she said. It was a joke. A test. I wanted to see if he'd break. A joke. A test. What type of friend does that? But she played the victim. She cried. She said she was lonely. She said she was insecure. She begged me not to throw away 15 years of friendship, and I stupidly let it go that I didn't want drama so close to the wedding, but I should have known better, because that was just the beginning point. 2 weeks before the wedding, I found my dress sabotaged. The seamstress called me and said the dress had been slashed on the inside, small cuts, made intentionally, in a way that wouldn't show until I walked, and the fabric pulled apart. She asked me if I had any enemies. I froze and I didn't want to believe it, but she was the only person who was ever alone with that dress. Harper had insisted on picking it up for me, to reduce my stress. A week after that, my makeup artist quit, telling me someone claiming to speak on my behalf insulted her and said her work was cheap. A few days later, the venue manager informed me someone had called pretending to be me and asked to downgrade the cocktail bar to save money. Little things, but always targeted. Always sabotaging. Always perfectly timed. I tried telling myself I was imagining the connection, that nobody could be that evil. But the night before the rehearsal dinner, the truth punched me in the face. I got a text from an unknown number. A video. I in the video. Harper was sitting in a car, laughing, and then she said, "Tomorrow, everything changes. Don't worry, sweetheart. I'll take good care of Michael when you ruin your own wedding." Then she winked. My heart dropped. This wasn't jealousy anymore. This wasn't insecurity. This was a plan, a full-blown plan, and I didn't know what she was going to do at the wedding, but I knew it wouldn't be small. So that night, I made a decision. If she wanted to ruin my wedding, I was going to ruin her entire life. I began gathering everything, screenshots, videos, voice notes, every message she ever sent me, every time she badmouthed me, every sabotage attempt. I compiled it into a secret folder. And then I added one more thing, a recording she didn't know I had, her voice, whispering on the phone. "Once he realizes he's better off with me, she'll be out of the picture." I stared at that file for hours, and I knew exactly what I had to do. The plan I created was the kind of plan you don't come back from, and I was fully ready to watch the entire world burn behind me. Tomorrow was rehearsal point. 2 days later was the wedding, and she had no idea. She wasn't the hunter. She was the prey. I didn't sleep that night. My mind kept replaying every strange comment Hannah had ever made about my relationship, every joke she'd thrown at Mark, every time she insisted on planning part of the wedding without me. By sunrise, I had one thought running through my head. If Hannah wanted a war, she was going to get one. But first, I needed proof, real, undeniable, reputation-ending proof. I went through every old message, every group chat, every voice memo, and with every scroll, I found something darker. Little clues I had ignored. Screenshots where Hannah had cropped parts out. Voice notes where she paused weirdly before talking. Photos where she stood too close to Mark. And then, buried between old files, I found a video I had never seen before. It was taken months earlier on Hannah's phone. She was filming herself in my guest bathroom, the one she always did her makeup in. But she wasn't touching makeup. She was holding my wedding dress. And in the video, she looked straight into the camera and said, "Honestly, she deserves this. She always gets everything. The guy, the compliments, the attention. Not this time." Then she took scissors and made a tiny cut right along the inner seam, small enough that no one would notice. small enough that it would tear naturally later, right when I put it on, or worse, when I walked down the aisle. My stomach twisted, my hands started shaking so badly I almost dropped my phone. She recorded herself sabotaging my dress. She documented it, like she wanted to watch it again, like she enjoyed it. But the worst part wasn't the dress at IT, was what she said next. And when Mark sees she's too emotional and unstable, he'll finally see she's not right for him. I'm doing him a favor. I froze. My blood felt cold. Everything made sense. The makeup sabotage, the rumors she spread, the tears she faked, the lies she told him. She wasn't trying to ruin my wedding. She was trying to replace me. I stared at that video for what felt like hours. I rewatched it over and over. Barely breathing, I wanted to scream, cry, destroy something, but I didn't, because anger wasn't what I needed. What I needed was strategy, a plan, a way to end her game in the most perfect, painful, cinematic way possible. That I needed to hit her where it hurt, in front of everyone she loved. I spent the entire next day gathering everything, every screenshot, every message, every voice recording, every photo of her being too close to Mark. I stitched it all together into a single video file, a timeline of her lies, a compilation of her manipulation, a highlight reel of her obsession. But I didn't stop there. Because if I was going to expose her, I wanted the world to see who she really was. I dug deeper into her old accounts, her backup phone, her shared notes, her deleted messages, and what I found was worse than I imagined. She had been talking to Mark's ex, feeding her lies, sending her edited screenshots, telling her that Mark was unhappy with me, that he still thought about his ex, that the wedding was a mistake. She wasn't trying to ruin my relationship. She was trying to ruin me. And for months, she had come so close that I felt sick, not just because of what she did, but because I had trusted her, that I had defended her. I had cried to her about the stress she created. But I wasn't crying now. I was planning. At 3 a.m., after hours of work, I sat back and watched the full video I had created. IT was brutal. IT was undeniable. IT was career-ending, friend-ending, life-changing. Exactly what she deserved. I pressed save. My hands were steady. My heart was calm. The anger was gone, replaced by something colder, sharper, more dangerous. Revenge. 2 days before the wedding, I called the venue. I asked them about the projector they used for slideshows. The staff member asked if I needed help preparing a video. I smiled, even though she couldn't see me. "Oh, trust me," I said. "I've already prepared everything." I downloaded the file to a USB. I labeled it with a single word: play. And then I waited. The morning of the wedding, I woke up strangely calm. Hannah texted me 6 times in a row, pretending to be excited, pretending nothing was wrong, pretending she wasn't the villain of her own story. I didn't respond. Not even once. And then, because the universe loves timing, Mark walked into my room, nervous, smiling, adorably clueless. "I love you," he said. "Ready for today?" I looked at him, really looked at him, the man I loved, the man Hannah wanted, and I said softly, "Yeah, I'm ready." But he had no idea what kind of day it was about to be. He had no idea what everyone was about to witness. He had no idea that in a few hours, the wedding would stop, the music would cut, the lights would dim, and a giant screen would flicker on behind him. And the truth, all of it, would finally come out. I in front of both our families, I in front of all our friends, I in front of her. I froze. I wasn't sure if I had actually heard it right, but then I heard it again. Louder this time, her voice, Maya. She whispered something to someone on the other end of the hallway. I slowly stepped back into the shadow, hiding behind one of the pillars so she wouldn't see me. My heart was racing so hard I felt it in my throat. My veil shook because my hands were trembling. And then I saw her, Maya, standing with the hem of my wedding gown in her hands. She was literally holding scissors on my wedding day, cutting the delicate lace from the back of my dress like some psycho seamstress. She didn't see me. She was too busy inspecting the fabric like she was planning her next sabotage move. I felt my chest tighten. I wanted to scream, confront her, attack her, something, anything, but I forced myself to stay silent. I needed proof. I needed her to expose herself fully. And oh, she did, because she raised her phone to her ear again and hissed, "Relax, okay? I'm making her late on purpose." The more stressed she is, the more the makeup melts. She's gonna look like a disaster next to you. Trust me, this is perfect. My stomach dropped. Next to you. She wasn't talking to a bridesmaid. She wasn't talking to some friend. She was talking to Daniel, my fiancé, my soon-to-be husband, the man who was supposed to be waiting for me at the altar. She kept talking, pacing in tiny circles as she toyed with the lace she had just cut. "I told you. I'll make it look accidental. You just pretend you're worried when she shows up crying. And when she snaps at you later, everyone will think she's unstable and stressed. Of course she'll blame me. I'm counting on it. That's when you act hurt, vulnerable, like she broke your heart." She laughed, actually laughed. "Once everyone sees how badly she treats you, no one will blame you for choosing me later. Trust me, Danny. Everything is going exactly how we planned." The air disappeared from my lungs and I didn't breathe, didn't blink, didn't think. I just stood there, silently falling apart in the hallway of my own wedding venue. He didn't even have the guts to break up with me. He wanted me to self-destruct in front of everyone so he'd look like the victim. They were planning this behind my back the entire time. Every ruined dress fitting, every accidental, messed up hair trial, every time Maya told me Daniel seemed stressed but still trying, they orchestrated all of it. Together, I didn't know what to do first. Cry, scream, run, burn the building down, but then an icy calm washed over me. I wasn't going to ruin my own wedding day. They were, and they had no idea what was coming. Because for the first time ever, I wasn't the confused, heartbroken bride. I was the villain they accidentally created. And villains, we don't break. We plot. I reached into my bouquet. Yes, my bouquet, and pulled out the thing that changed everything. My hidden phone, recording the entire conversation, every word, every betrayal, every disgusting giggle. I'd planted it there earlier, because after weeks of sabotage, I had already suspected Maya. I didn't expect Daniel to be involved, but now that I knew this wouldn't end quietly, I stepped out from behind the pillar, slowly, deliberately, and when Maya finally noticed me, her face drained of every drop of color. She dropped the lace. She dropped the scissors. She dropped her phone. Wait, this isn't, I can explain. I walked right past her, didn't say a single word, didn't acknowledge her fake gasp or shaky sobs. I simply picked up her phone, pressed one button, and the screen lit up. The call was still active, still recording, still connected to Daniel, and he said, perfectly clear, "Is it done yet?" I looked at Maya. Then I slowly lifted the phone to my lips and spoke 3 calm words. "Oh, it's done." And then I hung up. She knew. She knew everything was over, but what she didn't know was that I hadn't even started yet. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of my phone vibrating nonstop. At first, I thought it was just wedding vendors confirming final details. But when I grabbed my phone, my entire screen was filled with notifications, DM requests, screenshots, anonymous tips, and every single one of them mentioned the same thing. Check on your bridesmaid. She's not who you think she is. Your best friend is planning something. You need to be careful on your wedding day. At first, I thought it was spam. But then, I saw an anonymous account send me a full video. A video recorded inside my bridal suite. And the person in the video, Lila, my best friend, she was standing next to my wedding dress, holding a pair of scissors. She wasn't cutting it yet. She was practicing, testing the blades, whispering to herself, "Let's see him still want her after tonight." My stomach dropped. My ears started ringing. I replayed the video 10 times just to convince myself it wasn't some kind of deep fake. But the camera caught everything clearly. Her face, her voice, her smirk at I in that moment. The puzzle pieces finally clicked. Every weird thing she had done for the past year. The sudden jealousy, the constant comments about my fiancé, the way she stared at us when she thought I wasn't looking. This wasn't random sabotage. This wasn't insecurity. This wasn't pettiness. She wanted my fiancé. And she wanted to destroy me to get him. I sat on the edge of my bed, shaking, trying to breathe. I didn't know if I should scream, cry, or go straight to her place and confront her. But then another notification popped up, a text from Lila. Morning, bride-to-be. Just wanted to check if you're still okay with me getting to the venue early to set things up. You trust me, right? Red heart, I stared at her message. She was pretending like nothing happened. Like she wasn't planning to completely ruin my wedding. I typed a reply, then deleted it. Typed a long paragraph, deleted it. Typed a simple, sure. Deleted it too. Something in my brain snapped. Something cold, sharp, focused. Instead of confronting her, I wrote back, of course. I trust you. See you soon, red heart, because now I had evidence. And not just that, my phone kept buzzing with more messages. People sending screenshots, audios, videos, even text messages between Lila and random people at the wedding party. And one message broke me completely. A screenshot of her demanding my fiancé 2 nights earlier. Are you sure you want to marry her? You know you deserve someone better. He never replied. Thank God. But the fact that she tried, that she wanted him to cheat, that she wanted him to doubt me, it was enough to fill my veins with pure fire. I wasn't going to confront her. I was going to ruin her. And then, just when I thought things couldn't get worse, someone sent me a picture of Lila at the venue that same morning, wearing a tight, sparkling white dress, my wedding, the message said. She told everyone you wanted her to wear this. My hands started shaking again, but this time not from fear, from anger, from betrayal, from clarity. She wasn't just sabotaging my dress. She wasn't just trying to break up my marriage. She was trying to replace me. And that's when I made the decision that would change everything. I was going to let her walk straight into her own downfall. Every lie she told, every plan she made, every secret she whispered, I would expose it all, not privately, not quietly, but on my wedding day did I in front of every single person she tried to impress, including my husband, including her family, including the entire guest list. I didn't know exactly how yet, but I knew this. She picked the wrong bride to betray. When I stepped back into the bridal suite, the air felt heavier. Like the walls themselves knew something I didn't. My dress was hanging perfectly again, the tear completely invisible now, but I didn't trust it. Not anymore. Not after realizing someone had tried to destroy it, and I knew exactly who would do something that disgusting. Lila, my best friend. The woman who had inserted herself into every phase of this wedding like she was the one getting married. I walked over to the dress, ran my fingers over the seam, and whispered to myself, she really thinks she's untouchable. But before I could inspect it further, my phone buzzed again, another anonymous message. This time it wasn't a photo. It was a video. Did a video of Lila in my kitchen crying to someone on the phone saying, she doesn't deserve him. She doesn't even know how lucky she is. If he knew what she does behind his back, he'd choose me. He should choose me. My stomach dropped. My hands started shaking. This wasn't just sabotage. This wasn't jealousy. This was obsession. And she was spiraling. I rewound the clip, watching her pace back and forth like she owned the place. Then something in the background froze me. My fridge, covered in magnets and photos. One photo in particular, me and Ethan kissing at the beach, and taped crookedly over my face was a ripped piece of paper with Lila's smile drawn on it. Not a joke, not some goofy doodle, not playful. It was creepy, territorial, possessive. That's when I finally said out loud, she's in love with him. My voice cracked because a part of me already knew. All the signs, all the jokes, all the touching, all the lingering looks. She wasn't pretending. She wasn't dramatic. She was deadly serious. and she was willing to destroy me to get him. Before I could think, there was a knock, but not a soft, polite knock, a fast, aggressive one. Open the door. I need to talk to you. Lila didn't answer. Katie, open the door. Don't make this weird. She sounded irritated. Like I was the problem. I quietly stepped back from the door, holding my breath. Then the knob rattled. She was trying to open it. Actually trying. Why is this locked? She snapped. I didn't make a sound. After a moment, she huffed and muttered something to herself before stomping away. But I knew her well enough to know she'd be back. I grabbed my phone, replayed the video again, and noticed something else. A reflection in the microwave door. A man's silhouette. Someone she was talking to. Someone who recorded her. Someone who wanted me to see the truth. Which meant I wasn't alone in this. Someone else knew the entire plan, and they wanted me prepared. I closed my eyes, took a shaky breath, and whispered to myself, this isn't just sabotage. This is war. Right then, my maid of honor Julia burst into the room. Katie, something's wrong. My heart jumped.
What?
What happened? It's Ethan, she said breathlessly. You need to come with me. Right now. I felt cold all over. Why? What's going on? Julia's face twisted with panic. He's missing. My breath caught. What do you mean he's missing?
He's gone, Katie.
No one can find him. He was seen walking away with someone, and they think it was Lila. My entire body went numb. Lila had taken MY groom on MY wedding day, and suddenly everything clicked together like a horrifying puzzle. The dress sabotage, the fake rumors, the obsessive behavior, the secret video. She was removing me, piece by piece, until I had nothing left. But she forgot one thing. I wasn't the kind of bride who would cry and cancel the wedding. And no, I was the kind of bride who would burn everything down to expose the truth, even if it meant exposing secrets that would destroy everyone
involved. I didn't even grab my bouquet.
I didn't fix my hair. I didn't check my face in the mirror. All I felt was heat, rage, this electric fire crawling under my skin as Julia pulled me out of the bridal suite. My wedding heels clicked violently down the hallway as my heartbeat pounded in my ears. Guests were arriving. Music was playing faintly. Everything on the outside looked beautiful, but inside the venue, chaos. People were whispering. Bridesmaids were crying. The coordinator looked like she was about to pass out. And somewhere, Lila was out there, dragging my fiancé into God knows what twisted plans she had. Julia pulled me toward a side hallway where the staff stored supplies. Her voice trembled as she said, "They think Lila told him you needed him urgently and convinced him to step outside." A staff member saw them leave through the back door. No one has seen them since. My blood ran cold. Why would he go anywhere with her on our wedding day? I whispered. Julia bit her lip. Katie, you know how manipulative she is. If she told him something was wrong, he'd believe her. Because Ethan trusted her. Because she pretended to be my friend. Because she pretended to be his friend. I felt sick. We reached a tiny back hallway. One door open. One door closed. The open one led to the parking lot. And oh, Ethan. And oh, Lila. Just an empty space where something horrible had just happened. My voice cracked. She planned this. Every part of it. Julia nodded. Katie, that's not all. She reached into her dress and pulled out her phone. This was sent to me. I don't know who from. She handed it to me. My stomach instantly twisted. It was a photo. Ethan, outside, standing with Lila, and she was gripping his arm with both hands, leaning close to his face like she was whispering something urgent, but his expression, confused, tense, slightly uncomfortable, told a different story. Then I zoomed in. Her other hand was holding something, a folded piece of paper. I recognized the handwriting immediately. Mind, a letter I wrote to Ethan months ago, one I kept in a drawer in our house. She had taken it. She had brought it here, and she was using it. What the hell is she doing with my letter? I whispered. Julia's voice dropped. Katie, someone overheard her saying you were hiding things from Ethan. That you had dark secrets he deserved to know before the ceremony. I laughed, but not out of humor, out of disbelief. So she's rewriting my life now? I'm the villain in her fantasy. Julia swallowed hard. It gets worse. She pulled up another image, this time a screenshot, a message, sent from an anonymous number. T.O. Julia. She's not who you think she is. Open your eyes before she ruins his life. Attached was a voice memo, and my hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. I pressed play. Lila's voice filled the hallway. Once he realizes what she's done, he'll leave her. He'll understand she's not worthy of him. I'm the one who's always been there. I'm the one he should have married. And when he sees the truth, I'll be the one he chooses. My lungs froze. Every word came out dripping with obsession and delusion. But something else caught my attention, a faint sound behind her voice. Wind, birds, footsteps, car doors. This memo wasn't recorded inside the venue. IT was outside, meaning they were still close. I snapped into action. Julia, stay with the coordinator. Stall the guests. Don't let anyone announce anything. She nodded quickly. What are you going to do? I held my phone tight, jaw clenched. I'm going to get Ethan back. I stormed outside through the back door. The moment the sunlight hit me, I froze. Lila was standing near the far end of the parking lot, her back to me, her hair perfectly styled, like a nightmare version of a bridesmaid, and Ethan, my fiancé, was standing a few feet in front of her, rubbing his temples, clearly stress. He looked lost, like he had no idea what storm he'd just stepped into. I took a breath, ready to shout her name, when I heard her voice, sharp and venomous. You're making a mistake. Ethan. She's lying to you. She's been lying for months. I felt something inside me snapped. I stepped forward, heels crunching on gravel, and said, Funny you say that, Lila. She spun around, her face drained of color, because she saw something she wasn't expecting. Not a crying bride, not a broken victim, but a woman who finally understood the enemy. Ethan's eyes widened. Katie, hey, I didn't realize, but I wasn't looking at him. I was looking at her. Lila's lips trembled, but she forced a smile. Fake, stiff, unsettling. Oh my God, Katie, you scared me. I was just helping Ethan because you kidnapped him? I cut in. She blinked, her mouth opened and closed like a fish. I didn't excuse me? You think You tore my dress, I said coldly. You faked messages about me cheating. You tried to turn my bridesmaids against me. You've been feeding Ethan lies for months. You recorded fake conversations and sent anonymous threats. And now you've dragged him outside on our wedding day to finish the job. Ethan's head snapped toward her. Wait, what? She did what? Lila's jaw tightened. Katie, you're being dramatic. Look at yourself. You're clearly overwhelmed. Save it. I said. I pulled out my phone and pressed play on the voice memo. Her voice echoed through the parking lot. He'll leave her. He'll understand she's not worthy of him. I'm the one he should have married. Lila lunged forward and slapped the phone out of my hand. Ethan grabbed her wrist hard. Lila, what is this? She froze, her eyes filled with tears instantly. Fake ones, the kind she used when she wanted attention. I didn't mean it like that. Ethan. She twisted it. I was just emotional. Ethan's voice dropped. Cold, sharp. Done, you're insane. Her face crumpled. No. No, Ethan, you don't understand. I love you. She screamed it. Right there, I in her bridesmaid dress. My wedding did I in broad daylight. Ethan looked horrified. I stared at her like she was a stranger, and in that moment she broke. She fell to her knees, grabbing Ethan's hand like her life depended on it. You're marrying the wrong woman. She's going to ruin your life. I'm the one who's always been here. I'm the one who understands you. I'm the one you should be with. Ethan yanked his hand away so fast, she almost fell forward. He stepped back toward me instinctively. That's when her tears stopped. Suddenly, like a switch was flipped. She stood up slowly. Too slowly, her head tilted, her eyes empty, and she whispered, "If I can't have him, no one will." I felt ice slide down my spine. Ethan stiffened beside me. Lila pulled something from her dress pocket. A second phone, not hers, Ethan's. She smiled with a look that didn't belong on any sane person's face. "You think you know her?" she whispered to him. "You don't. And before you marry her, you should see what she's been hiding." She tapped the screen lit up, and my face appeared. A video point one I had never recorded. A deep fake. A fake confession to fake betrayal. She had created an entire alternate reality where I was the villain. I felt my chest tighten. This wasn't obsession anymore. This was a full-blown psychological attack. But the worst part, Ethan looked shaken, like he didn't know what to believe. And that tiny hesitation in his eyes made me realize something terrifying. Lila wasn't done. She had more, much more. And she was ready to burn the entire wedding to the ground. My heart was punching the inside of my chest as Julia dragged me down the hallway. My heels clicked against the polished floor, echoing like a countdown. Every step felt like I was getting closer to something I wasn't ready to see, some truth hiding right under the surface. We turned a corner, and suddenly the wedding coordinator, two groomsmen, and Ethan's brother were all gathered in a tight circle, whispering urgently. When they saw me, they froze. "Where is he?" I demanded, my voice sharper than I intended. Ethan's brother looked at me with guilt in his eyes. "Katie, he left the venue. But we don't know why." My stomach twisted. "You said he was with someone." They exchanged looks. Julia squeezed my arm. "Just tell her." One of the groomsmen sighed. "He was seen getting into a car with Lila." I felt the world tilt. Not in shock, I was past shock. This was a rage that burned cold. "That doesn't make sense," I said steadily. "Why would he leave with her?" They all looked confused. They didn't know what I knew. They hadn't seen the video. They didn't understand how deep this went. But before I could explain, my phone buzzed again. Another anonymous message. My fingers trembled as I tapped it open to the location pin. "Sent 5 minutes ago," a short message followed. "You're running out of time." Julia looked over my shoulder and inhaled sharply. "What does that mean?" "Katie, who keeps sending you these?" I shook my head. "I don't know, but they're helping me." The groomsman looked uneasy. "Helping you with what?" Ethan's brother asked. I ignored him. Instead, I zoomed in on the map. The pin spot was only 10 minutes from the venue. A small, isolated garden area used for photo shoots, and ironically, also where Ethan and I took our engagement pictures. Of course, she'd choose there. It was symbolic. The happy memory she wanted to corrupt. I lifted my head, jaw clenched. "I'm going to find him." "Wait." Ethan's brother blocked me. "You can't go alone." "I'm not asking for permission," I snapped. Julia immediately stepped beside me. "I'm going with her." But then my phone buzzed again, a second message, a photo. I froze. Julia leaned closer. "What is it?" It was Ethan sitting on a bench, head in his hands, and next to him, leaning way too close, was Lila, her hand on his arm, her mouth near his ear, her expression soft, manipulative, triumphant, and he looked broken, completely broken. Julia sucked in a breath. "Oh my God." But there was more. At the bottom of the image, a shadow stretched toward them, the shadow of the person taking the picture, and I recognized the shape. Tall, broad shoulders, wearing a suit, someone from the wedding party, someone close, someone who knew all of us, someone who wanted me to know the truth, but not anonymously anymore. My blood went cold. "Who sent you that?" Julia whispered, before I could answer. Another text came through. This one had no address, no photo, just 5 words. "You deserve to know everything." Then another. "Hurry." Adrenaline surged through me. I looked up at the group. "I'm going now." Ethan's brother insisted. "Katie, whatever you think is happening." I cut him off. "Trust me. It's worse." And I started walking, fast. Julia followed close behind. pulling up my dress so I could move easier, out the venue doors, down the steps, into the parking lot, and my hands shook so badly I dropped my keys twice before finally unlocking my car. When we got inside, Julia turned to me, pale and wide-eyed. Katie, what if he left willingly? The thought sliced me, but I didn't flinch. No, I said firmly. If he left willingly, he wouldn't look like that. I gripped the wheel, breath sharp and cold. She did something to him. I know she did. We sped out of the parking lot, following the map's directions. My heart hammered in sync with the turn signals, every red light feeling like a trap. Halfway there, Julia swallowed hard. Who do you think is sending the messages? I laughed under my breath, a humorless, exhausted laugh. At this point, could be anyone. Could be someone who saw something. Could be someone she hurt before. Julia stared at me. She's hurt more people? I kept my eyes on the road. She's been obsessed with Ethan for years. I just didn't want to see it. And saying that out loud, it felt like a confession, an admission of guilt, of blindness. We pulled into the dirt pathway leading to the garden. There were no other cars. Just trees swaying in a warm breeze and the distant chirping of birds. Peaceful, too peaceful. We got out quietly, moving toward the stone path. Do you hear that? Julia whispered, and I did. Voices point one shaky, point one calm, but cold. We rounded a hedge slowly, and there they were, Ethan and Lila, sitting on the bench, just like in the photo. But now I could hear them. Lila was leaning in close, whispering something. Ethan looked like he was on the verge of crying, and I took one step toward them. Julia grabbed my arm. Katie, but I pulled away. Lila brushed Ethan's cheek. I'm the only one who actually listens to you, she whispered. She doesn't deserve you. She never has. I stepped into the open. Funny, I said, voice steady, coming from someone who destroys wedding dresses at sunrise. They both froze. Ethan jerked his head up. Katie? Lila stood abruptly, eyes wide, mouth twisting into a fake smile. Katie, hey, we were just. Don't lie, I said. Not today. She flinched. Ethan stood, trembling. I didn't want to leave. She said you needed space, and I laughed bitterly. Of course she did. Julia crossed her arms, glaring at Lila. We know what you've been doing. Lila's expression hardened, then, slowly, she smirked, the kind of smirk that didn't hide anymore, the kind that revealed everything. It doesn't matter, she whispered. You're already too late. My blood iced. Too late for what? Her smile grew. Too late to stop what's coming. And before I could react, I heard a twig snap behind us. Someone else was there, someone we hadn't seen, someone who'd been watching the whole time. And when I turned around, my entire world shattered. I grabbed my phone and dialed Julia again, my fingers trembling. Do you know where he is? Tell me now. She shook her head. I'm trying, Katie. But the last anyone saw, it was Lila leading him somewhere. He looked confused. Scared. Scared. That word stabbed me in the chest. And in that moment, I realized how dangerous this had become. This wasn't just a petty sabotage or a jealous outburst. Lila had planned this meticulously. She had everything calculated. The whispers, the little pranks, the accidental sabotage, all leading to this moment. I knew I had to act fast. I sprinted out of the bridal suite, the dress clinging to my skin, and ran down the hall, nearly knocking over the florist arranging the last-minute bouquets. My heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear Julia over the chaos of the wedding preparations. Stop her, I shouted, but it was too late. Lila had already disappeared into the crowd of guests, a ghost among the chaos. Then my phone buzzed again. Another video. This time, it wasn't just Lila. It was Ethan, my groom. He was in a dimly lit room, tied to a chair, looking terrified. And Lila standing over him, a smug grin on her face. She's going to ruin everything if I let her. Lila whispered directly into the camera. But don't worry. I have plans. Big plans. I felt bile rise in my throat. I replayed the video over and over, analyzing every frame. The walls, the windows, the faint reflection of a door number. I could figure out where they were. Julia and I quickly devised a plan. We couldn't confront her directly. Not yet. Not without proof that we needed witnesses. Evidence. The ultimate exposure, and I knew exactly how to do it. The wedding couldn't stop. Not yet. The guests couldn't know. Not until I had everything in place. I stormed into my dressing room, my hands shaking but my mind sharper than ever. The first thing I did was set up a live feed. Not to post online yet, but to watch in real time what Lila and Ethan were doing. Every move, every word, every panic-stricken glance. I recorded it all. Then I started texting her anonymous tips, feeding her misinformation. Every text I sent made her second-guess her plans, gave me the advantage. By the time the ceremony started, I had a full strategy. Lila thought she was controlling everything, but I was 10 steps ahead. When Ethan was finally brought to the hall, restrained, looking confused but unharmed, I waited for the perfect moment. The moment everyone would watch and never forget. I pressed play on the device hidden in the lectern. The video displayed on the giant screen behind the altar. All of Lila's manipulations, her messages to Ethan, the dress sabotage, and the obsessive notes she had written. Every single secret exposed to everyone present. The room went silent. Gasps, whispers, shocked faces. Lila's jaw dropped. Ethan's eyes went wide. He finally realized everything, and then I stepped forward, calm, collected, unshaken. "This is why I'm standing here today," I said. My voice echoed, steady. Because some people think they can take what isn't theirs. But the truth always comes out. Lila tried to speak, to defend herself. But no one listened. The guests watched in disbelief as her perfect plan unraveled before them. And I smiled, because I knew, by the end of the night, the wedding wouldn't just be ruined, it would be legendary. And the revenge? Only just beginning. The room was silent. Lila stood frozen, her smug expression gone, replaced with fear. Everyone had seen everything, her obsession, her manipulations, the lies she had woven for months. The entire wedding had become her undoing. Ethan stepped forward, finally realizing the full extent of what had happened. His eyes met mine, wide and guilty. But there was no turning back. I didn't need his apology. I didn't need his reassurance. I took a deep breath, the adrenaline still coursing through me, and said, "The truth is power. Lies only last until someone brave enough exposes them." The guests murmured in shock. Some were in tears. Some were whispering frantically. But one thing was clear. No one would ever forget this day. Lila tried to speak again, to defend herself, to beg, but the evidence was overwhelming. Every secret, every sinister plan, every cruel thought was laid bare. There was no escape, no denial, no manipulation left to wield. Security escorted her out, her head held high in defiance for a fleeting second, but even that couldn't mask the terror in her eyes. She had lost everything. Her schemes, her friends, her credibility. I looked around at the faces of the guests, at the shocked whispers, the stares, the phones recording every second. And then I smiled. Not because I wanted to gloat, but because I had reclaimed my life. The wedding, ruined for some, had become a victory for me. A statement. A reminder that no one could play with my life and win. Later, as I stood alone in the empty hall, the chaos finally settling, I sent one last text to Lila, to Ethan, to anyone who had doubted me. This ends here. My life, my choices, my happiness are mine. Forever. And for the first time in months, I felt peace. Lila's shadow was gone. Ethan's deceit was exposed. And I was finally free. The story, the drama, the betrayal, it had all ended. But the lesson remained clear. Never underestimate someone who refuses to be broken. And in that moment, I realized something profound. I didn't just survive. I rose. Stronger, wiser, untouchable. The wedding was over. The lies were over. And my revenge? Perfectly delivered.
The end.